Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Yeah, I see you wear that sweatshirt and makes me want to move to Canada. No offense, that was just too easy.
I still place better than U.S. soccer team.
That was just too easy. All right, we'll start with the Mets-Dodgers. I mean, can they play a close game?
No,
anybody?
You got they tried game two. They tried hard. Dodgers tried to make it a close game in game two.
Goodness gracious. Okay. Every game's a rout now for the Dodgers. The bullpen's been great, but Walker Buehler starting the way he did last night, that's a huge plus for them because he has his velocity. He has not been accurate throwing the ball, and that's why he's had so many issues. His ERA has been inflated for a guy who in the first years of his career was just an absolutely terrific young pitcher. And Ohtani homered last night, so there'll be a parade today. In fact, what's really cool is that he and Aaron Judge are going to be the co-grand marshals of that parade.
I was going to say that. For Judge homered in the ninth inning at a game where you're already winning.
I mean, I would say for Rob Manfred, he might say it's about time my Stars did something, but then that would again portend that Rob Manfred cares. All right, so honest to goodness, I mean, can there be a commissioner who cares less about his sport?
I don't think so.
Really,
I don't think so.
I mean, they just you want to talk about somebody who just punches in, punches out, and he's only there because he's getting paid a ton of money.
Yeah.
When you're the commissioner of a sport, you have to bring a lot to the table, business sense.
Sure.
The ability to work with people because you're talking about a lot of egos in a room with ownership and so forth. But you also have to bring a passion for the sport.
Absolutely.
He acts as if he has no passion for the sport at all, that it is just a job.
Yeah, completely. And he tries to bring the business sense to it, and it's just the business sense that he brings is the exact opposite of what a passion is. And then that's where everything that he's done, it's just, you scratch your head just thinking about things.
And I'm not saying commissioners have to be the warm and fuzzy.
No. Roger Goodell certainly isn't.
I mean, I don't think Adam Silver is, to be honest with you. You watch Adam Silver in a press conference. Yeah, that is not a funny guy.
No.
He's just not. So I don't know. It's and so the Yankees will play Cleveland tonight, but the Yankees just are better. Cleveland has to be perfect to win. That's an issue. Mm-hmm. You have to be perfect. The Yankees can botch running the bases. Yeah. They can have their superstar be invisible. All these things and still win games against Cleveland.
Bases loaded jams, 2 innings in a row, and leave.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, Cleveland has to be perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
Meanwhile, the Yankees don't have to be to win. And it's opposite tonight, Denver, New Orleans. I might watch the beginning of the Yankees-Guardians game. But if in the end, I'm probably going to flip over and watch the football game.
Watch football, yeah.
Well, no, just because I want to. Just because I want to. Yeah. Your team is now 3-3. I understand. Right. Brock Purdy, man, was he awesome. I didn't see a second of the game last Thursday.
Thursday night.
We were in the hotel. It wasn't on in the
Played
hotel.
well, but yeah,
it wasn't on in the hotel, so I didn't see it.
Yeah. I think you have a better chance of hitting a lottery than you have two kickers getting hurt in a span of 2 weeks, but they managed to do it.
Yeah. This is going to be a big weekend for college football.
I agree. I think both. Pro football, too, is a big weekend.
Well, I'll start with college football because we're now at going beyond the halfway point of the season.
Absolutely.
So let's take two games in particular, both in the Southeastern Conference. By the way, I will point out just as an addendum, the Illinois-Michigan thing with the 100th anniversary of Red Grange is cool this weekend.
Yep.
That is cool. Okay. So I just thought I'd bring that up first. I know when we had Lauren Tate on the show, he interviewed Red Grange, I don't know, in his career 3-4 times. Said, Steve, I really didn't know him. He says, I interviewed him. And he was, nice to interview and the whole deal. But he said, didn't really know him. He mostly lived in Florida at the time. Which is, based on a vote of the personnel of the stations where they'd like to ship you. And I said, no.
Florida.
Well, they tried to put you as far south as they could.
It might be better to send me far west, but don't tell them that.
So he mostly was living in Florida. Now back to the key games of the weekend. They're both in the Southeastern Conference. It is going to be Texas against Georgia. That's the night game. And then Tennessee, Alabama, third Saturday in October. So while the marquee looks good, there's actually greater implications than just what the marquee says. Texas isn't in this category. They're number one. They're going along fine. They've got a big win over Michigan along the way. Winning at home over Georgia continues to enhance their path to being a 1 seed should they win the Southeastern Conference. For Georgia, though, let's not forget they lost at Alabama. Oh, yeah, they came back. Oh, what a great comeback. Awesome, incredible. Lost. So if they do not win in Austin on Saturday night, they fall into the 2-loss pool, which means the rest of the way, in all likelihood, they would need to be perfect.
Absolutely.
To Tennessee, Alabama, guess what? The loser of that game falls into the 2-loss pool and probably has to be perfect the rest of the way in the regular season. Because a team with 3 losses is not getting in.
No, not even SEC.
Okay? Unless it is a team with 2 losses playing in the conference championship game, where the door might be open to losing the conference championship game in a great game, and with 3 losses, based on the total body of work, maybe they get in. That I'm just saying, I'm throwing that out as a possibility.
Well, and that I think is part of, just back to your previous point, being perfect the rest of the way regular season, really. You go back, Georgia or Tennessee, Alabama, for that matter, they're perfect getting into that game.
Sure.
Then, I think they probably are in, even with 3 losses.
Right. So, but that's what happens if Georgia, and then, without question, the team that doesn't win Tennessee, Alabama, now at this point of the season, you fall into the 2-loss pool. That becomes an issue because now you do have to be perfect in the regular season the rest of the way, and that's what we're starting to get to, that point where we have to start talking about that. Now, in the 2-loss pool, you can still get there. No question. That's one of the glories of this 12-team playoff. But at the same time, every single week's going to be a playoff game the rest of the way. Because you can't afford to lose any of them. And that's, at this point of the season, this now starts to become an issue. Clemson has the one loss, but it was to Georgia, and they were behind 6-0 at halftime. Clemson has quietly gone about its business.
Gotten better.
They haven't played a great schedule.
No.
Right?
No, but they're getting confidence.
But they're also not playing close games
Right.
either. And as you've heard me say how many times, the really good teams aren't in close games. Okay? Now, you're going to have a game that's head-to-head with somebody really tight, close, because they're also really good too. That's, okay. But everybody else, you kind of just get through. And that's where Clemson's playing great. And yes, obviously, people have brought up, well, look how Pitt's record is. Pitt does play Clemson this year. That game's in Pittsburgh, isn't it?
I think so. I think it is Heinz Field.
Acrisure Stadium.
Or Acrisure Stadium.
I mean,
field previously known as Heinz.
Do you keep up with the modern game?
Tell you, they did not waste any time changing the sign. They named it Acrisure that week. It is at Pittsburgh.
Do you keep
November
up
16th.
with the times? I mean, you're still calling the Commanders and the Guardians by their former nicknames. I mean, it's
Well, I'm not alone there. But yeah, that is in Pittsburgh, November 16th at Acrisure Stadium, the stadium formerly known as Heinz.
What is, since you have it there, what is the rest of Pitt's schedule? I mean, to their credit, they haven't lost a game.
No, they've won close games. You have Syracuse Thursday night. That's tonight, obviously. SMU on the road.
I might watch a little bit of that.
SMU on the road.
That's difficult.
2nd.
SMU's pretty good.
Yep. Virginia, and obviously Pitt, or Clemson, excuse me.
What are they going to have in squad?
They might. They could probably do that. Be about the same crowd.
Oh, you're just cruel. Cruel.
Clemson is the game I was referring to, November 16th. Yeah. Then they're at Louisville, 23rd, and
that's tough.
Finish the year at Boston College. So a couple tough games.
So SMU, Louisville,
and BC all on the road.
SMU, Louisville, and Clemson primarily. BC.
I say BC can be a tough game on the road. I think that's
yeah. So
they had some tough ones.
All right, so they've got something to this point. I mean, their biggest win so far is probably West Virginia.
I'd probably say West Virginia because of the rivalry and just Cal. You had to come back in that game. I think that's a good win there.
Did I see the comeback? Yeah, I did see the comeback.
But yeah, in terms of quality opponent, I would say West Virginia. You have a rivalry game there.
Yeah. So, so they're undefeated at this point. And that's where we are in the season right now. Now, as for basketball, practice continues. They've already had the one scrimmage against Villanova. They'll have an exhibition game next Friday night at Lebanon Valley College when they take on Lafayette. And some things in practice are now starting to fall into place for them, which helps. Now, you don't want the team to play games next month. And, you want your practices to continue to get better. But some things in practice that need to have happen have started to fall into place for them, and that's a big plus moving forward, because they're going to need all hands on deck to go through the season. I don't think anybody has any idea how good Penn State can be in basketball. I really don't.
No, especially just preseason, just seeing what people think of them. Yeah, absolutely not.
I mean, but again, I do not in any way, shape, or form, when I've been asked about it, when I've gone out to speak, my response is, man, who cares? Who cares where they're picked? I mean, it's just,
no.
Okay, and now.
Doesn't really matter whether they're ranked.
Right. So now let's flip it to the other part, though, okay? the people that are doing the ranking have been asked to rank.
Sure.
Right? Or have been told by a publisher or whatever, or their editor, hey, look, you need to do a story on ranking the Big Ten teams. And then, of course, the media out in Chicago voted. Okay, the media out in Chicago and the people that write these stories, and I say this with complete respect, they're doing it in some ways semi-blind. Because with all the transfers, how can you really tell how good a team is? Like, for example, I just mentioned Illinois, Michigan in football. Well, look at those two teams. Right? Do I think Vlad Golden has a chance to be a really big addition for Michigan? But they're a completely different team now than they were a year ago in terms of the personnel, right? Including Vlad Golden. Okay. Illinois loses Coleman Hawkins to transfer. So who did they replace him with? A transfer, Kerry Booth from Notre Dame. Well, Kerry, with all due respect, struggled last year at Notre Dame. So I don't know how good he's going to be at Illinois. I can't tell. Purdue, they're going to be terrific. They're 14th in the AP poll to start. There's no Zach Edey. I don't know. He was rarely, to his credit, he was rarely off the floor last year.
Right.
I mean, that is one of the more fascinating transitions I've seen in a player, where I thought the year before that he was late second round or undraftable because of style of play, playing about 28, 30 minutes a game, to seeing a guy become a first-round draft pick and playing 38 minutes a game. You have to be kidding. Really? I mean, that is all credit to him. You know, and then the strength and conditioning staff did a great job with him, but he worked on his game. He worked on his conditioning. He lost 10 pounds. Right? So that's a presence that you've had 37, 38 minutes a game in there. You don't have anymore. That was a matchup nightmare for everybody in the country. Well, they don't have the matchup nightmare anymore. They have good players there. Trey Kaufman-Renn, I think, is a very good player.
Yep, I agree.
But how good are they going to be? I don't know how good they're going to be. Smith and Lawyer that's an excellent backcourt. Smith does everything. Lawyer is an excellent shooter. So I said Smith does everything and Lawyer is an excellent shooter. That should tell you what I think about his overall game, with all due respect.
Yeah.
And that's just an example of a team that's considered to be at the top. Like I've gone through everybody in the conference. I did that, through the summer, put it all together. That way I could get a head start in the season because you don't want to ever be behind. And Penn State's going to find out right away. They got Purdue here in the opening conference game on December 5th.
Yep.
All right. So they've got that. But that's why UCLA has what they call the quick fix 6. There's 6 transfers. Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Eric Musselman's the new head coach at USC. Danny Sprinkle's the new head coach at Washington. I don't know. Fred Hoiberg's roster at Nebraska turns over every 4 months. You have 2 potentially terrific freshmen at Rutgers. I don't know. I don't know. Michigan State is talented, but still a little bit of a mystery. Indiana, everybody's big on Indiana. Everybody's big on Indiana last year.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay. So nobody knows. I mean, nobody knows. It's when you're doing these preseason rankings, it really is trying to do educated guesswork. That's like predictions on games. They're all educated guesswork. Do we really know for sure? I mean, really?
Yeah. We knew for sure we'd be rich. I can tell you that.
Well, you and I are both out.
That's for sure.
I can tell by the cut of your clothes.
That's right.
Yeah, same here.
No, you never know. Obviously, you have.
It's all educated guesswork,
exactly.
so nobody knows.
And you base it off of a previous season, and every year is a different year. You base off. Oh, this guy's coming back. You got 4 guys back, so I assume they're going to be good. Who's to say they're not going to deal with 4 injuries in the preseason? Who's to say they're not going to deal with setbacks as a whole, locker room distractions? You just never know. You have no idea.
Nobody knows.
No.
It's a long season. Same thing in football. It's a long
Absolutely.
season. And Penn State in football has done everything it is needed to do to put themselves in this position. But there's so much work left to do. It's a big week on the practice field for football because this is a week where let's see how it plays out for a young player like DeJuan Lane, for example. A week like this can really help him, right? Where you get out there, you get a lot more reps, and I know Anthony Poindexter likes him a lot because I've talked to Dex about it. And this is so a young player like that, guys like Anthony Ivey and Tyler Johnson who have been right there, can they break out a little bit and get themselves into the mix more at wide receiver? It's a big week for Quentin Martin. Because of the injury to Cam Wallace, he's had to ascend to the number 3 running back spot. Right? More reps, okay, in a bye week for a guy like that. For young players like John Thomas and Kenny Wosley and Antoine Belgrave Shorter, they're going to get a lot of reps this week. Right? I mean, all that means a lot moving forward. The Harvey at defensive end is going to get more reps this week. Max Granville's a young player I like a lot. Obviously the goal is you can tell at this point what obviously the goal is to redshirt him. But these bye weeks are big weeks for young players where they can get themselves into the mix and be a part of the playing mix, get more reps in games because they've done enough in practice to earn a spot to get more reps in games and give Penn State the necessary depth they need. So that's where we are at this point. This is around here. It's in those 2 sports, it's practice week time. And then it's back to game weeks next week because, again, men's basketball will have an exhibition game on Friday night with Lafayette down at Lebanon Valley College, which will bring Mike Rhodes back. It'll bring Pat Flannery back. Because Mike was getting on my case. He goes, "You going to the game?" I said, "Mike," I was absolutely going to the game until I saw when you scheduled it. He goes, "What about it?" Now, at this point, I didn't know the kickoff of the Wisconsin game. And I said, "Well, it's the night before the Wisconsin game." He goes, "You can get a 6 a.m. flight." He says, right, out to Madison. He says, "Come on." I looked at him and I said, "Mike, really?" He said, at this point, I didn't know if the game was going to be noon, 3:30, or 7:30. He looked at me and goes, "Yeah, you're probably right." It's like, believe me, I'd go.
Absolutely.
I'd go. Just to, check out the love. But yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So we talked about the baseball playoffs. All right. Might as well do 49 good San Francisco seconds. Let's just get it out of the way.
Let's
get it out of the way.
Oh, it's a big week, obviously. Yeah, it's a rematch.
Who are they playing?
Chiefs. Yeah.
No, you'll lose.
Yeah, I believe so too. Andy Reid off a bye week.
No, you'll lose.
Andy Reid's unbeatable off a bye week. Can't beat him. Yeah, that's a big reason why. But the 49ers are banged up. I think the Chiefs just are the better team right now as you look at it. I think the Niners still have a couple issues, but still going to be a fun one. America's game of the week. Tom Brady on the call. Kevin Burkhardt, obviously, as well.
Yeah, Brady has a lot of restrictions on him when it comes to this ownership thing. I don't understand why look, Roger Goodell, it's great. He wants to invest in the NFL. Oh, for goodness sakes.
Yeah. I don't. I think part of it is he's looking at the fact that it's a team in Vegas. He wants to have a say in who the quarterback is going to be. I think that's a big part of it. And this is a team that has not had a quarterback in a couple of years now. Derek Carr, I think, was acceptable. He was a good quarterback, but
Kyle wants to send him out with the garbage. He wants him out. He wants him to draft somebody. All right. I mean, Kyle's transitioning toward what Fireman Ed is with the Jets. Okay. Ed Anzalone, more commonly known as Fireman Ed, said Tuesday night on social media that the Jets were limiting his screen time on the video boards at MetLife Stadium during home games. I don't know exactly what's going on, but they're phasing us out. In a video he posted on Instagram. I'd like to know if somebody knows anything. Please let me know because it's evident that it's happening. And it needs to stop because we need a home field advantage. Probably deep down it's Aaron Rodgers. No, I'm just kidding.
He's playing for everything else.
Playing for everything else with the Jets.
Like Donovan McNabb when he was in Philadelphia.
Last night in particular, although the Denver game also, last night in particular, we scored a touchdown. And normally, as a tradition, we're always put on the screen, Anzalone said, referring to himself and two other Jets superfans. We do the Jet chant to get the crowd going, which is a staple of Jet Life Stadium. Anzalone noted that he also traditionally incites the crowd when the Jets are on defense, which he added was the most important before saying something was going on with the organization's production that oversees the video boards. Something is going on, so please let me know if you know something, Anzalone said.
Boy.
The Jets are 2-4 despite all of Anzalone's incredible efforts.
It's got to be what it is. They're 2-4 because Fireman Ed's not on the Jumbotron 17 times a game. Who cares? Honestly, it's and I say this in the nicest way I can because it is about the fans. The fans make the experience better for everybody. The fans certainly create a home field advantage here.
78,000 of them there.
Exactly. There you go. There's my point. You are one of thousands upon thousands of people. It's not entirely about you. It's about fans, plural. Yeah, completely. Absolutely unbelievable. No. I'm not agreeing with him in this.
Like, what is he talking about?
Unbelievable.
I think it's cool he's been a season ticket holder all those years and so forth, and he's so passionate. That's great. But
yeah,
I mean, that's egotistical.
It is. Big time.
All right. I know he's paid a lot of money in his lifetime to be there. I got it. But when you're one of 78,000, you can show a bunch of other people in there, not just one guy, right?
I agree.
You can show them sometimes on the board because the fans love him. The fans do love him.
Absolutely.
Right? So I have no problem. But complaining that you're getting less screen time?
Yeah.
He's not getting zero screen
Exactly.
time. He perceives
less.
he's getting less. Like, okay.
How many times they show Spike Lee in the NBA Finals? Once?
Yeah.
It's not. That's ridiculous.
By the way, the Yankees-Guardians game is this afternoon at 5:08.
So it's the Dodgers-Mets that would be
That's the night game.
the night game.
So tonight, Clark Schmidt, who's been, I think, very good in the playoffs. He's been very good all year. Against Matthew Boyd. And Boyd was good in his appearance. And then for the Dodgers tonight and the Mets, it is going to be Yamamoto against Jose Quintana. Yamamoto makes a lot of money and hasn't quite lived up to it. No. So, and last night, credit where credit's due. Western Kentucky beat Sam Houston 31-14, but UTEP won its first game of the season last night. In the Sun Bowl last night, they beat Florida International 30-21. Rah-rah, UTEP.
There you go. Tim Hardaway's alma mater.
Scored 10 points in the fourth quarter to win. How about that? So good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them. That's, they're now 1-6. Looks like it was a good game. I didn't see it. I didn't see either game last night. What's the college game tonight? It's got to be a college game tonight, right?
Pitt and Cuse is one of them.
Oh, jeez. My night is ruined.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Syracuse.
It's one of those.
Orange.
It's one of those where you sit there and you make a comment like that with Kyle around. Oh, you're anti-Qs. I'm like, nah, I'm just busting your chops. Let's see. Can we get everybody in there?
Tell you, I grew up in Elmira, so I knew everything there was
You
to
grew
know
up in
about
Elmira?
it. I grew up in Pottsville. My goodness. Grew up in Pottsville. Spent many summers in Elmira at my grandmother's.
You have no idea where you grew up.
I'm losing my mind. I grew up in Pottsville.
You have no idea where you grew up.
Cannot believe I just said that. Grew up in Pottsville.
You have no idea where you grew up.
Pottsville, Pennsylvania is where I grew up. I spent many summers, though, in Elmira. So learned a lot growing up about Ernie Davis.
Tonight's game is Boston College, Virginia Tech.
So I wonder if that's...
What are you doing?
I'll tell you, I'm all off today.
What are you
that
doing?
Pitt and Cuse game next week?
I don't know.
Let's take a look here.
It's Boston College, Virginia Tech.
Yeah, next
tonight.
Thursday. My goodness. 0 for 2 there in that segment. That's a failure at its finest. 0 for 2 I am.
Oh, boy.
Was not lying when I said Pitt's next game is Syracuse. They are off this week, but was lying on tonight's game being Pitt and Syracuse.
What are we doing here?
They do have a Thursday night game coming up.
What are we doing?
Tell you, getting the date wrong on the...
Now, tomorrow I will watch Oregon-Purdue.
Yeah, same.
Right? Only because Penn State's going to play Purdue, so I want to see Purdue play. The game's in West Lafayette. Hudson Card's been hurt, by the way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Brown stepped in as the quarterback.
Yeah.
Actually played pretty well.
I was gonna say, offense
Illinois.
looked better. Yeah.
ESPN gives Oregon a 95% chance of winning.
Who knew?
I wonder why. So then the other Friday night game is Oklahoma State BYU. BYU is undefeated. And Oklahoma State has had an underwhelming year. You got Alan Bowman at quarterback, but Alan's big problem is he's thrown 12 touchdowns, fine, but he's thrown 8 interceptions. And Ollie Gordon is only averaging 3.8 yards a carry. I mean, that's stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Because this guy a year ago ran for 1,732 yards. 1,732 yards. He averaged 6.1 yards a carry. He's averaging 3.8 a carry this year.
Yeah. They're just a team that's on the decline, too. They beat Arkansas, in early September, too. And then it dropped at least 3 straight.
They've lost 3 in a row. They lost to Utah, and we know
Yeah.
Utah can be very good. They lost to Kansas State. We know they can be very good. They lost to West Virginia. We know they can be very good.
Yeah.
And now they got BYU.
Yeah.
They beat Tulsa. They beat Arkansas, and I don't know who they beat in the opening game. But let me see here. But Ollie Gordon, they beat South Dakota State.
Dakota State, it looks like.
Right. And of Ollie Gordon's 384 yards, he had 126 of them in the opening game against South Dakota State. So in the last 5 games, he has 258 yards. 258 yards in the last 5 games. I mean, you're talking about, that's like 51 and a half yards a game. That's it.
That's it.
Whew. That's brutal. And 3 of his 4 touchdowns were in that opening game. I mean, this guy was like, hey, he's a Heisman Trophy candidate. Well, he's a very talented player. But one would have to assume based on the numbers, because I haven't seen Oklahoma State play. I'm wondering if they have an offensive line issue. So... I don't know.
It feels like they've gotten worse, too. It just feels like they've, last 2 games, obviously Kansas State's a good football team. But
right, and I watched Kansas State the other night against Colorado. It was a good game. So, I don't know. Interesting times.
Absolutely.
Interesting times. And the NBA season's about to get started. And the NHL. By the way, I did watch some of the Penguins game last night. They were down 2-0 in the first period. They rallied. They won the game in overtime last night, 6-5. It's one thing I do like the 3-on-3 overtime, by the way.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, I know the AHL was the first one to put it in, and that's where you have the proving ground for these things in your minor leagues. You know what? I like it. You know, the way it works out. And it worked out great for the Pens last night. They won 500th goal last night for Geno Malkin. But good win.
Absolutely.
It was a good win last night. All right. Did you finish your 49 good San Francisco seconds?
I thought so. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yep.
I mean,
fully distracted me from getting the Syracuse and pick game right.
I mean, I feel like Bill White working with Phil Rizzuto, and when Bill White with the Yankees broadcast team, who's Bill's great player himself, great defensive player, good bat, excellent broadcaster, right? He looks over Scooter's card. You know, there's a K, there's 6'3", there's BB for base on balls, and he looks down, he goes, WW. He says, I looked at your scorecard, Scooter. He says, what does WW mean? He goes, I wasn't watching. All right, so that's about how it was with me and your 49 good San Francisco seconds. Wasn't watching. You're back tomorrow?
I believe so.
Why? Is it this easy? Is it this easy? I mean, on a day, let's review your day. Let's go right to the number one highlight.
Yeah.
You don't even know what town you grew up in.
No,
you even had the wrong state.
Watch that one. As soon as I said grew up in Elmira, I'm thinking, what?
You didn't even have the right.
Did spend a lot of summers in Elmira with my grandmother.
You didn't have the right state.
Didn't have the right state either. You're right.
God.
Meant to say spent summers in Elmira. And it wasn't a beach house either. Lived with my grandmother's in the summer sometimes.
Well, I can see why they shipped you off. The only one who was happy about that was Patches the dog. All right. Back